This session, we're going to be talking about transforming the supply chain with blockchain. Ms. Darian McBain, a Global Director of Sustainable Development from Thai Union, will be up here presenting the next topic. So give a warm welcome, please, to Ms. Darian.
I've got a mic. Okay. Hey everyone, thank you very much for coming to this session. I feel like I'm a little bit of a unicorn in this conference in that I actually work in a supply chain. So I work for Thai Union, which is the largest seafood processor in the world. Based in Bangkok, if you ever eat canned tuna, chances are you have eaten one of a Thai Union branded canned tuna or something that we pack for other retailers. We do pet food. We're the largest exporter of shrimp to the United States, salmon, shrimp, mackerel, sardine, you name it, we are the seafood experts. And so one of the things I do is look at supply chains. How do they start? What's the labor involved? What's the sustainability of where it's coming from, whether it's the ocean or aquaculture? And so I've done this in all sorts of supply chains. I've done it for conflict minerals, I've done it in forestry, I've done it in palm oil, I've even looked at pharmaceuticals. So now I'm in seafood, and seafood is fascinating. It is not so much a chain as a web. And so traceability is really how we talk about our sustainability program. We call it the backbone of our sustainability program. So what I want to talk to you about today is how we think blockchain can really start to bring even greater transparency. Okay, so in my job, I'm the Global Director of Sustainability at Thai Union, which means I do all sorts of things from energy, water, waste in factories, to sustainability reporting, to responsible sourcing. Traceability is a big thing of what I do. And this slide relates directly to a question that I heard in one of the previous sessions. Someone put up their hand, I don't know if that someone's here, and said, well, what's the difference between Fishcoin, who are our partners here, and their blockchain approach, and using a QR code? And luckily, that's the first slide I have. So on our sustainability report this year, if you turned over the report, looked on the back, you would have seen a QR code, and it brings up this chain of information. Where did the paper come from in your report? So it came from a collection outside of Paris. It was processed. We can tell you the chemicals. We can tell you how it was transported, how it got to Thai Union, and how it was printed. So far, so good. That's traceability. We put all of that information, traceability, in a QR code. That isn't blockchain. There is nothing blockchain about that, but it's good traceability. I know I heard from one of the big US retailers who did a study into their mango supply chain, and the first thing they found was they couldn't find where their mangoes came from for 5 days. It's like, what? 5 days? We can get all of this information in minutes, usually. Sometimes if you're having to go back to paper records, it could take hours, but still, it's much faster than days. That's good traceability. But seafood is complex, as I said. How are we going to manage all of these bits of information? Now, I'm guessing at the back of the room that really looks like an eye chart, so I'll tell you what it is that's up there. This is the supply chain. I got a laser. Ocean, port, supplier, factory, retailer, plate. Here is all of the different bits of information that we need to capture. And this is generalized. It's not specifically each bit. So we know the species. We need the harvest method. Was it caught with a purse seine? Was it caught with a hand line? We need to know the volume. We need to know the location of the catch. So the ocean is broken up into areas. FAO zones, they're called. So you need to know where it comes from. You need to know if it was in territorial waters, if it was transshipped. You need the captain's record to say the fish was caught on this day. If you're looking at labor conditions, you need the crew manifest, who was on that boat, all sorts of things if they've got proper registration to be working there. And that's just the vessel side. Then you need to catch more information at the port. And then the supplier, so us as a processor, we need all of this information to then go into our traceability system. So it's quite amazing. If you come to one of our factories, you'll see the fish coming in, generally frozen. I can tell you the hatch of the vessel that it came from and which ocean, which date, which captain, and trace it back to the crew. So it's not opaque, but there is a huge amount of data. So this one is about how you collect that information. So it comes from a lot of different methods. Some of it is paper. I mentioned the captain's statement. The captain literally has to write out how that information, this fish, this species were caught on this day, at this time, in this ocean, and sign it. And you can turn that into a PDF, but actually, to send that fish to European market, you need the paper copy. So amazingly, the paper copy could be signed in Vanuatu, shipped to Fiji, and then on to Bangkok, and then eventually into Europe. That paper copy has to go. So it really cries out to say, isn't there a better way that we can do this? And then the critics will say, well, there could be, but we don't really trust the information. So these are all the benefits of having traceability. And this is all on our website if you actually want to read what's in this slide, so apologies you can't see it. There's a huge number of reasons to do this. But first of all, we have to get digitalized information. And then we have to, we've started looking at, well, how can we make sure people trust this information? And one of the opportunities that we have is working with each mile and look at putting things on the blockchain, but also then using a token for incentivization. So I'd like to just play you a video now, which gives you a bit of an insight into the seafood industry, kind of how basic it is and how we're capturing data. And you can think about how that can be used then in the blockchain process that we're talking about. Can we have the video?
Consumers want to know where the food on their plates come from.
Is it possible to turn the lights off?
Quality and sustainability standards. Traceability, meaning the ability to track a product from catch to consumption, helps ensure those requirements are met and brings increased transparency throughout the entire system. This is particularly important for the seafood industry. Not only can it guard against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, but it helps monitor labor standards on vessels and protect stock levels for the future.
We rely on a captain's logbook and a captain recording the information, which is good, but now we have the technology that you can digitally record information. What we're trying to do is introduce digital logbooks so that electronically and digitally we can capture that information to give a greater deal of confidence as well as full supply chain traceability.
ระบบเดิมที่ใช้อยู่นี้มันก็ไม่สมบูรณ์แบบแต่ที่ทางไทยโรง
We
เรียน
started a few
นำเสนอ
minutes
ตัวใหม่
late. When do you want me to
ก็คิด
stop
ว่า
by?
น่าจะมีความสมบูรณ์แบบมากขึ้น
So a few minutes.
Thai Union and Mars Petcare, along with Inmarsat and Excess, introduced the e-logbooks as part of the digital traceability pilot program, where Thai fishing vessels were outfitted with Fleet One terminals.
This is actually a new service that is designed especially for the fishing market. The Fleet One system consists of antenna and below that equipment. Just plug in a SIM card and go.
เจ้าของเรือค่ะสามารถดูโปรแกรมนี้ได้ เพื่อเป็นการติดตามเรือว่าตอนนี้เรืออยู่ตำแหน่งที่ไหน ในส่วนของโปรแกรมนี้นะคะจะสามารถให้ผู้ใช้งานตรวจสอบข้อมูลย้อนกลับรวมไปถึงการทราบในส่วนของตำแหน่งที่ทำการจัดสัตว์น้ำประเภทของสัตว์น้ำที่ทำการประมง
Introducing digital traceability and utilizing e-logbooks in supply chains represents a big step toward ensuring sustainability.
You can have the weight of the winch, for example. You can have geolocation. So you can have more precise information and even more accurate transfer of that information in real time back to shore.
Digitally recording details at the time of capture greatly reduces errors in data entry and better ensures accuracy. Paired with satellite connectivity, markets, traders, or regulators on land can receive instantaneous information about catch time, location, species, or volume, even which hatch where the fish is stored. This also forms part of a digital chain of custody verification system,
helping seafood companies, stakeholders, and governments work to minimize illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing.
It's all about technology, and it's all about connectivity and information, real-time information. Not only data about the number of crew on board, working condition, working hours, which will already be a huge difference versus what there's currently now. Success for this pilot project could really mean a significant transformation in the seafood supply chain, because for the first time there will be connectivity at sea.
สามารถติดต่อประสานงานกับทางแพได้โดยตรงสามารถติดต่อกับทางบ้านได้
အခုကျွန်တော်တို့လိုင်းမန်လာထိုင်ပြီးတော့ဆဲမမီနော်ထိုင်ပြီးရတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့မအခုပဲလာထိုင်ပြီးဆိုတဲ့ဆဲမမီတဲ့ချိန်တယ်ကျွန်တော်တော့ရတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့
ဒီလိုမျိုးလာတာပေးဆိုတော့ချိန်မျိုးလည်းဖို့ပြတော့ရလေကိုနဲ့လည်းဆက်တက်မပြဆိုတော့ဆင်ပြေလို့ပဲပြရမှာပေါ့တတိချာကိုဗီဒီယိုစိုက်လို့မှချင်း
In the long run, traceability will help make the entire fishing industry more sustainable. It protects the environment and workers while delivering high-quality products and important nutrition to consumers across the globe. Thai Union and Mars Petcare's digital traceability pilot project, which is an industry first in Thailand, is a major step in the right direction.
I'm really hugely excited about this opportunity to partner in this pilot with Thai Union. To me, to us, to Mars, it is a key critical success factor of driving change in the seafood industry.
Okay, so now you can see what's possible, how we're starting to gather the data. And can you see the opportunities if you bring blockchain into this so that you have that greater confidence of the data? So where we're starting, and this is an actual trial on the ground, literally myself and the Each Mile team will be going to some farms in Thailand on Thursday, is this, the aquaculture supply chain. So the aquaculture supply chain starts with the vessels up here because they provide fish for the fish meal that goes into the shrimp feed, that goes into the shrimp, that eventually gets processed and sent to you. But we're looking at this section in particular, from the farm to production. How do you incentivize farmers to enter accurate data and perhaps more data than they currently have so that you have the traceability back and forth within the supply chain? And this is where Fishcoin comes in. So as I said, we're working with Each Mile Technologies using the MFish application so the farmers can enter data. In fact, many players along the supply chain can enter data. Comes along, they send the form. If approved, then they get the coin, the token incentivization, which they can then exchange for mobile phone data top-up. And then at the other side, you've got the information that could go into the blockchain. So the data flow is like this. You have your farmers here. Sometimes you have an agent who collects from multiple farms. They're then transferring information to us, the seafood processor. And then you have information that goes to our own traceability systems. So I have to say, we already have a traceability system. It's called TRACS. And it's like the Pamela Anderson of traceability systems. It's awesome. You know, I have the whole Baywatch team. This is the one that you want. This is the one that you're watching. It's absolutely amazing and takes information from all over the world to put it into this system. But then there's also information we want to share publicly to give the public confidence about seafood. And we can also share it privately with our customers. If they want to, say, customize the data that they receive, then that's the ability we have to do it. And then the other thing, which we haven't been doing to date, but I think is absolutely essential, is the incentivization. So in this way, once we have everything on the blockchain, and we're using Fishcoin as incentivization, you could have this end of the supply chain, a customer, say a retailer or a food service company in the US, could be buying the tokens and incentivizing the farmers all the way down here. And that's revolutionary because you're skipping these middle people and making sure that you have incentivized data collection. So we have a greater pool of data to make sure that there isn't illegal fish and that there isn't human rights abuses within our supply chain. And then there's more. Going beyond that, I can see applications for all sorts of uses with migrant labour. So the Thai seafood industry, many seafood industries, in fact, around the world, rely on migrant labour. One of the troubles is people don't always have possession of their documents, their passports. They don't always have the right work verification. That you don't know if they're getting paid. You don't know if someone is holding them in indebted labour. But if they had an immutable record on the blockchain, if you could pay them by a cryptocurrency where they could only control where that money is spent and where the money comes from, that puts amazing power to a migrant workforce, which is an issue that's global, in fact. So there's a lot of applications that we're looking at. It's exciting times, and as I said, stay tuned to this space. The first live applications are really happening this week. So thank you. This is Sea Change. This is Thai Union's program for changing seafood for good. Are there any questions? No questions? Yeah.
When you showed your blockchain diagram of this coin, when you showed us your token diagram of the value that, I guess, the farmers or the people entering the data get value from the purchases of the coin, how do they extract value from the system?
So they can exchange the tokens for mobile phone data top-up. So that's something, Jason from Each Mile gave a presentation probably an hour or so ago talking about this system. And the idea is, they don't necessarily want a cryptocurrency, they're not necessarily fans of cryptocurrency, but they all have mobile phones. So we've done surveys in the factories, you wouldn't expect it. How many people, what percentage do you think of people in a factory in Thailand seafood industry have a smartphone? You're close, 93%. Huge coverage. So around the industry, with the people who were on these vessels, they all had smartphones. But what they don't have the ability to do is scale up how much data they have access to. So we're using this, and it's still a trial, to see if that incentivizes behavior change. But I think there's all sorts of applications because so many people have smartphones and need for data, but they don't necessarily have the cash to buy more data. Yeah.
You're very disruptive to these middlemen. Can you perhaps talk a bit about the actual implementation strategy to get around the resistance that's inevitably going to come from these people who are... Exactly.
So, we're the middlemen.
Previously, right? So.
Well, this is within our supply chain, so I'm not worrying about other people's. I think that is the way of industry change. You need your leader, the disruptor, and then others may or may not choose to follow. But if you can have a good enough offering to your customers, then others will start to follow. You're right, they have to be engaged, and that's why, we have got the brokers. They're one of the middlemen in there. They have to be incentivized to do this as well. I think it's not so much the putting them on this system. The challenge is making sure you get the correct information, because obviously if you get garbage information and put it on the blockchain, it's just a blockchain of garbage. And so having the checks and balances to make sure that the information that's submitted is correct, to me, is going to be absolutely key, and that's where the bad actors perhaps will not be wanting to share all of their data. And to me, that's the biggest challenge, that people will want to enter information honestly. Yes? What are the which challenges, sorry?
Yeah, what are the ground level challenges you would have come across when you were transforming this to blockchain?
So the first challenge is that people don't want to do more work. They want to do the least amount of work for getting paid. And so this is where we hope that the incentivization will help, because if you look at the seafood industry, but certainly with all food systems, we keep asking for more and more and more data, but prices aren't going up. They're not getting paid for more information. So this is where I think the token incentivization will help, in that they are, in a form, getting more money. So even if this customer up here isn't saying we will pay more for your product, They could incentivize the data collection, particularly if it's something that they directly want. So this is the theory. This is the theory of change. It's the disruption theory. It is a pilot at the moment, but I think it's an exciting pilot. Yeah.
Are you able to track a single fish or batch of fish?
Batch of fish for us. So if it's single fish being caught hand line, so a small fishery, individual fish by fish, there are systems where you can track individual fish, but by the nature of our business, we tend to be having large catches all at once, so it's multiple fish. So we can't tell you their individual names, but collectively we can call them a little community.
Otherwise known as a school.
As a school, well, it's not the whole school, I don't want to give that impression. Some of the friends, just a classroom.
I think that's about it. We're going to wrap up, I think, unless there's one other question. Going once, going twice, no.
Just one last question. So somewhere in the, all of this change will come at a cost. So are you going to pass on the cost to the customer in the end? So, I mean, I know a lot of people are ready to pay for organic food, but is it going to become an organic fish in that sense, or?
So people
Sustainability
will already pay, perhaps not a premium, but not bottom price if you're giving full traceability. What I would like to eventually be able to offer the market is customized traceability. What is it that you are interested in as your brand, as your retailer, and we will give you that customized, and I'm hoping there is value in that. So I think it comes down to having value. If there's value in what you have to offer, people will pay for it. If it's so much so standard, then not necessarily.
Okay, I think that's a wrap. So please give a nice round of applause. I think it was a great presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.